Katsina State Police Command has confirmed bandit attack on Government Boys Secondary School, Kankara in Katsina State, but could not ascertain the number of students abducted as calls of students ran into the bush for safety when gun duel ensued between the police guarding the school and the bandits. And the PPRO Katsina State Police Command SP Gambo Issa said this in a telephone interview. Our United Nations has expressed grave concern about the current situation in Ethiopia's Tigray region, where government troops have been fighting a rebel group. And UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres delivered the message at the UN headquarters in New York. Adebola Brookston Sunday tells us the rest of the story.
Since the early hours of November 4, the Ethiopian government has been undertaking military operations against the Tigray People's Liberation Front, which rules Ethiopia's northern Tigray states. The federal government's operation followed the group's attack on a command base of the Ethiopian Defense Force in Mekele City, capital of Tigray.
There were a lot of persons who have died over there. Even my friends' fathers. I don't even know where my family are here.
Stephen Dujarric said the United Nations is very concerned about the current situation in the Tigray province in Ethiopia, adding that it is essential to quickly restore the rule of law and full respect for human rights.
Promote social cohesion and inclusive reconciliation, as well as to re-establish the delivery of public services and guaranteed unfettered humanitarian access.
He acknowledged that the UN is still supportive of the African Union, but it is also ready to give assistance to the refugees in the area.
Our immediate priority is the well-being of the people of Tigray and ensuring those in need urgently receive humanitarian assistance. And we are mobilizing for that purpose the full capacities of the United Nations.
Prior to the ongoing fighting, the Ethiopian government had been blaming the TPLF for masterminding various treasonous acts across different parts of the country, with an overarching goal of destabilization. Adebola Brookston Sunday, NTA News.
And still on security, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, has enjoined troops not to be distracted by move by International Criminal Court, ICC, to investigate war crimes against Nigerian forces in the northeast. The Army Chief's message, contained in a statement by the Acting Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sagir Musa, notes that the ICC statement followed a release by the local branch of Amnesty International demanding investigation of alleged atrocities by Nigerian forces has the tendency to distract and demoralize troops. The Nigerian Army charged the troops to be focused and be guided by the rules of engagement and the Code of Conduct and standing operating procedures for all Nigerian Army operations. And to meet the yearnings of Nigerians' growing population, the need for the expansion of access to opportunities and investment in human capital development is a focus of the federal government. This is contained in the message by President Muhammadu Buhari to the graduation of participants of Executive Course 42 of the National Institute for Policy and the Studies, IPPS, Kuro. Felicia Dialog reports.
In spite of challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic, participants of the Senior Executive Course 42 2020 were engaged in rigorous training and research. Having satisfied all requirements of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, the participants are now members National Institute, with their intellectual focus sharpened and conceptual capacities sustainably expanded to better appreciate issues of national significance.
A profound appreciation and gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari for receiving the participants of Senior Executive Course 42 on December 3rd, 2020, in the presidential villa to present their study report in spite of his very, very tight schedule. It is gratifying to note that the report was well received, with assurances by the President that the government will look carefully at the recommendations in the report and find ways to harness them towards the realization of our national development aspirations.
At a time like this, when the nation's youth are clamoring for inclusion and positive change, the choice for the theme of study, population growth and human capital development, challenges and opportunities, is said to be apt in order to mitigate some of the challenges confronting the country.
The participants have really shown considerable sense of responsibility, discipline, and patriotism by diligently interrogating this year's theme in all its ramifications.
In his address, President Muhammadu Buhari, represented by the chairman, Northern Governors Forum and Governor Plateau State, Simon Bako Lalong, has this to say.
At a time when our country is facing a myriad of challenges, the need for high-quality strategic thinking and action across the public and the private sector has never been greater. This is why I believe that it is significant that your set is graduating at this time and you must waste no time in getting into the fray.
He further urged them as networks for positive change to consolidate on the gains achieved to improve all sectors of public life. From NIPPS, Kuru, Felicia Daliop Samaila, NTA News.
The Cameroonian government says prompt humanitarian assistance to refugees through the provision of food, health care and shelter and means of livelihood is a panacea to poverty and criminal tendencies amongst refugees. This informed the gesture by the Cameroonian government to over 2,000 displaced Cameroonians residing in Cross River State. Arid Endem reports from Calabar.
The Consulate of Cameroon in Calabar recently launched the third phase of the distribution of humanitarian assistance to refugees in Calabar, Cross River State. The gesture is a special package from the President of Cameroon, Paul Biya, to over 2,000 Cameroonian refugees.
We have started 2 weeks ago in Akwa Ibom State, and today we are in Calabar. And next week we are going to move to Obudu because we have more than 1,200 humanitarian kits to refugees there.
700 refugees were given humanitarian kits and medical assistance to give them a new lease of life.
Contracted by the Cameroon Consulate to provide a free medical facility or outreach program for the Cameroonian refugees here in Nigeria.
While some refugees applauded the government for their kind gesture, others expressed their nostalgia.
The drugs that they give to us for our health, I pray that God should continue to keep them, to give them more knowledge and wisdom, to continue have the human feeling in their life.
We thank them really well is that they have to really rectify the problem that is in the country so that we can go back to our country.
Despite the hardship caused by the coronavirus around the world and the many challenges faced by the Cameroonian government, it expresses its concern for all its citizens who fled the country in the wake of the socio-political crisis in that country. In Calabar, Arut Ndem, NTA News.
And although Nigerian startups were not able to pitch their innovative ideas in order to stand a chance of competing with their counterparts across the globe, at this year's Gulf Information Technology Exhibition, GITEX, due to the coronavirus pandemic, their solutions were greeted with commendations. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson reports that they were charged to utilize the knowledge and digital platform exposure gained in harnessing indigenous innovations for national economic development.
In 2019, Nigeria came to GITEX with 10 startups and competed favorably. 2 of them reached semi-finals, while one of them, that's Chineke Guard, won Best Startup in the AI category with a cash prize of $10,000. 2020's edition was slightly different as pitching was frustrated by the coronavirus pandemic. Despite that, Nigeria's participation at GITEX Technology Week provided the much-needed boost to the startup ecosystem through in-person industry interaction and with the creation of new business opportunities. NTA was on ground to capture interactions and appraisals.
And I want to study all the tech startups growing up in Nigeria because I would like to invest there more.
Today I'm just go around to see some new technology in this GITEX. So I'm very surprised. I found this stand is very interesting.
The GITEX 2020 has been amazing. It has given us, as startups, the opportunity to showcase our solutions.
We need to be proactive. Secondly, in digitalization, you cannot avoid risk, but you can reduce the gravity and the significance of that risk.
Future is here. What we need to is to go back home and create it because it's already working here.
While the world awaits the next decade of emerging technologies from these creative minds, it is officially a wrap for GITEX 2020.
It's been an engaging technology week of reimagining the future in the midst of a global pandemic, the biggest of its kind in the Middle East, North Africa and South Asia, where a lot of groundbreaking technologies have been discovered and transferred. And for Nigeria, the digital journey continues with the hope that it keeps getting better. From the World Trade Center, venue for GITEX 2020, Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Many thanks, Joseph. And we take a quick break now. More reports when we return. Stay with us.
Experience unlimited superfast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
Dialogue, empathy, love and unity. These are vital components of nation building.
We have lived in harmony with the Igbos, with the Hausas, with the Edo. Everybody that comes to this state, we have lived in harmony. Because we believe in the unity of this country.
We call for peace, we call for calm, but we also call for justice and accountability.
Let's build and not destroy.
Welcome back. Now, the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure and other organizations in different sectors of the economy have signed a memorandum of understanding to commercialize indigenous technologies. Justin Bem-Onyi reports that the collaboration aims at dusting out research and development works kept on the shelves and having a link with industries to enhance the nation's economy.
The signing of MOU with 8 key organizations in different sectors of the economy by NASENI comes with a need and compelling reason to have synergy in the areas of research and development, and also a collaboration that will guarantee the science and technology sector's effort to commercialize successful research output to see the light of the day. The pact will bring the different sectors together to jointly research in areas in the post-COVID-19 era. This will promote the ingenuity of indigenous technologies that are need-oriented.
Certain activities require collaboration wide. As I said earlier, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. If we target, since we do need-oriented, market-demanding research, before we invest in certain things, we need to look at if someone has done that before. We see how to develop it further together and into the market. And vice versa. They may have certain expertise we don't have. They may have certain exposure we don't have. And experience. Nobody has monopoly of knowledge. That is what we do. Again, if the research is successful, how does it go to the market? So that's why there are business drugs manufacturing facilities as is there in Naseni, its products will have been standard.
The organizations involved in the MOU with Naseni are the National Power Training Institute of Nigeria, Auchi Polytechnic, Federal University of Technology Akure, Federal University of Technology Mina, and others. Justin Bemuni, NTA News.
And to health reports now, a sustainable boost of the National Health Insurance Scheme to address the healthcare needs of more Nigerians will bring the goal of a universal health coverage closer to actualization. This is a submission of some health stakeholders in Uyo, the Akwa Ibom state capital, as the international community marked the 2020 WHO Universal Health Coverage Day. Ifoma Akelji reports.
The goal of universal health coverage, according to World Health Organization, is to ensure that healthcare services are available, affordable, and accessible to everyone who needs care. Hence, to end the numerous health crises for a healthier future, stakeholders say an efficient, well-run health sector with sufficient capacity of well-trained, motivated health workers and a system for financing health services must be established.
Everybody, every citizen should access health without too much stress, without difficulty. It's a human right.
We need to sit down, have a conscious program, a conscious effort, and give huge sum of money to it.
And also manpower, to also employ nurses to really go into rural areas to take care of this health system.
While some Nigerians laud the provision of the National Health Insurance Scheme, they advocate a wider reach and call on the other tiers of government to key into this vision.
Most people cannot afford health services, but through NHIS, those who cannot afford can be made to afford by the contribution of those who are more than able to afford. It's not yet all over the nation. It's just at pockets in the institution.
Though the coronavirus pandemic disrupted delivery of essential health services, this year, Universal Health Coverage Day reminds every stakeholder of the most urgent priority, health care for all. In Uyo, Ifoma Aihuji, NTA News.
And Mexico approves emergency use of Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine just as first foreign aid convoy arrives in capital of Ethiopia's Tigray. Joyce Ometu has details of these and more on Global Update.
Nigeria has recorded its highest daily COVID-19 infection figure since the start of the outbreak in late February. Health authorities reported 796 new cases on Friday, smashing the previous highest daily record of 745 reported on June 19. Abuja and Lagos, the two cities with the highest number of infections, led in Friday's counts with 258 and 248 new cases respectively. With the new cases, the total number of COVID-19 infections in Nigeria rose to 72,140. Meanwhile, Mexico has become the fourth country to approve the emergency use of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. The country's Deputy Health Minister, Hugo Lopez, told a news conference that the development is a source of hope and tranquility. Talking global coronavirus numbers, Worldometer dashboard reveals that total cases have exceeded 71 million, with more than 1.6 million fatalities. Away from the pandemic, the first non-governmental aid convoy has arrived in the capital of Ethiopia's northern region of Tigray since fighting erupted last month, carrying desperately needed medicines and other items. In a statement on Saturday, the International Committee of the Red Cross said the convoy from Geneva-based group and the Ethiopian Red Cross Society was sent in coordination with the Ethiopian authorities. In the meantime, leaders from around the world are attending a Climate Ambition Summit online, where they are to present the progress reports they have made and their plans to protect the environment. U.S. Secretary General Antonio Guterres at the meeting urged world leaders to declare a state of climate emergency in their countries until carbon neutrality is reached. He said that the world needs meaningful cuts to reduce global emissions by 45% by 2030 compared to 2010 levels. And that's where this segment ends. I am Joyce Ometu.
And with the spike in COVID-19 infection, Kaduna State government is scaling up tests and getting its isolation centers ready to handle emergency cases should they occur. The State Commissioner of Health, Amina Baluni, says government will also not hesitate to impose another lockdown if people refuse to adhere to safety protocols. Mohammed Umar Ajingi reports.
117 persons, mostly aged between 10 and 35, tested positive for COVID-19 in one day, a worrisome record for Kaduna State. The state governor Nasru Ahmed El-Rufai has since gone into self-isolation as a result of the surge in infection rate among senior government officials, including one of his close family members.
I'm therefore in self-isolation and hope to be tested by Sunday. This is purely a precautionary move that complies with the standard COVID-19 protocols.
The State Commissioner of Health, Amina Baloni, says it is now a reality that the second wave of the virus is spreading across the state. And if the infection rate continues at the current rate, it may overwhelm the health system.
The rising infections is a reminder that COVID-19 remains a potent danger to lives and livelihoods. Anyone who remembers the pain and sacrifices of the lockdown period will not want that to be repeated. Therefore, we urge all citizens to adopt the spirit of the Forward campaign. The Forward campaign is basically encouraging everyone to follow the stipulated guidelines by authorities in the healthcare sector.
As government takes decisive steps to contain infection rate, the commissioner says that people must live up to their responsibility by adhering to COVID-19 prevention protocols. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Ajingi, NTA News.
And in Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu is to go on self-isolation after one of his close aides tested positive for COVID-19. Governor Sanwo-Olu and other members of his team have already been tested by the Lagos State Biobank but will remain in isolation until the results are available. In a statement, the Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, indicates that the governor has had the COVID-19 test at least thrice since May this year, when he announced that 10 of his aides had tested positive for the virus. The Health Commissioner said there is a slight increase in number of COVID-19 positive cases in clusters in Lagos, urging Nigerians to adhere to the prescribed advisories of safe distancing, hand washing and respiratory hygiene, and avoidance of unnecessary gatherings. And away from that, President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed shock and sadness at the death of publisher of leadership newspapers Sam Nda Isaiah, a man he describes as friend and ally. In a release signed by Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity, the President condoles with the media fraternity, the Nda Isaiah family, friends and associates of the deceased, saying the country has lost a man of conviction, a resolute and dogged believer in a better Nigeria. Sam Nda Isa was a renowned columnist and one-time presidential aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, APC. And that concludes the news at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Comfort Amadu. Do remember to connect with the NTA to stand against rape and rapists. Good evening.